Yeah, this is punching distance. I don't even need a shield to prevent him from hitting me with the boss, because if he comes there, I just simply turn his shield. Just simply use leverage. So we know these extensions on Iron Age bosses can't be weapons. Whether my idea is correct, I don't know, but I think it's a more clever and more educated guess. All right, now, so what would it have looked like if they fought? Oh, another thing which is really important. All these techniques that we're showing, like if he pins my shield, see his edge goes on the flat. He's got instant control. All these only work if the shield has a minimum diameter of 80 centimeters. If his shield was any smaller, I could easily cut over here. Just push further and up. Yeah, like so. I wouldn't be able to cut over here if the shield was any smaller. So if with shields which are smaller than 80 centimeters, like the Viking shield, which has been found 2 years ago here in Denmark, these techniques wouldn't work. So there's a biomechanical optimum for the round shield being used with the edge to fight with, that ranges, depending on the size of the fighter, between 80 and I'd say maybe 110 centimeters. Anything else is either too big and too heavy or too small to use these techniques. Okay, so, but then again, why would I not strap my shield to the forearm? Because it's actually, after a while, this gets really heavy. They must have had really good shoulder muscle. Now, actually, you grow them pretty quickly if you do that training. But still, it would be helpful to have a strap here to distribute the weight on my arm. Now, if somebody knows how to use a shield like Mikkel does, it's pointless to attack this side, because he just simply puts it forward. If I want to hit his head, just retreat and just ward off. Attacking on that side is pointless. That's what the shield is for. Yeah? So, if you go to this side. So here's another clue that we get from Talhofer. As I said, we make use of this rotating door principle. Yeah? It seems to be a disadvantage, but actually it is not. Because if I attack him this way, I can actually strike to his weapon side, hitting his hand or thrusting to the face. Meanwhile, warding off the main weapon. That's the main weapon. Yeah? Because what he wants to do is he wants to attack my flat to turn my shield and thrust me, right? So as he does this, I let him come and strike to this side. I just pick up that pressure and strike at him. Yeah, if his blow is already coming in, I just simply thrust at him, warding off the weapon here. Okay, this is biomechanically so much stronger. He's just striking into the strength of my blades. I can still thrust at him even if he presses hard, because there I'm using leverage. So these are biomechanical principles and knowledge from the treatises that we use to reconstruct how these were used. All right, let's see if this would work out. We just try to do a little flow drill just to show you what you constantly strive to do when you fight with this kind of weapon set. You try to put pressure and put pressure on his shield with your shield to find an opening. That's opening is the part that we strike to. Yeah? Self-explaining, isn't it? And I've got this axis that works for me. Yeah? And of course I also have the arm axis. So I can use this as well. Why would anyone use a position like that? Well, let's just assume he attacked my flat, turns, or I attack his flat, turn his shield and press it into the armpit. And now as he strikes, I feel the strike coming, and I go to this side. Yeah? He's completely sealed off, and I even stepped on his foot. So during this process, I may easily feel where the pressure takes me, and then I may end up in a position where this edge is towards his face. Just simply give him an undercut with the edge of the shield. Here's another concept which we know from the treatises. It's fühlen, feeling. I feel in the bind, regardless of this, if this is a sword bind. If he gives me pressure, I feel where the pressure goes, and I can use this pressure. If there's no pressure, I can work against him. So I need this bind, I need this contact to actually feel what my opponent is up to. And the same applies to the shield. So, okay, some more. This is just an impression of how the pressure goes. This wouldn't be an impression of a real fight. To simulate a real fight, you would need safety equipment. Because the main attack, let's put on masks. What you do with these is you use both weapons at the same time. This is the attacking weapon. This is the exploiting weapon. You create the opening with the shield, and at the same time, the sword moves and goes into the opening. It's like a matador. So if you turn the shield, at the same time you either thrust or cut. It's not boom, 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 or boom, boom. It's always at the same time. Because, and here is later fencing theory. We have something which is called tempo. That's from the Italian fencing. In the time frame, I can do something, he can do something. So if I would create an opening, just go into a regular guard. I'm trying to not attack this side. I'm trying to attack this side because he's already standing pretty sophisticatedly. So what applies here also applies on the inside. If I attack him like that and don't strike at the same time, my chance is gone. I have to strike at the same time. Okay? Created a gap, went through. Works really nicely. Mikkel came up with an interesting concept of keeping touch with your edge and flat of the sword as you fence. Okay, thank you. So it's that fast that a fight goes. Guard. End of the story. So you see, as soon as you start experimenting with some martial background knowledge, using the later treatises, and having a look at the actual weapons, that tells you a lot. Because what are the differences between this sword and that sword? Now this is quite a nice blunt replica of a Viking sword, except anybody knows what is inauthentic about the proportions?
The handle is too long.
Exactly. I had it made longer in order to use gloves. I mean padded gloves like those over there. This is really what you want to use when you do historical fencing. Because somebody who cannot hold a sword is done with, and that's the first target you see if he exposes his hand. So I thought, if I reconstruct Viking Age fighting, I need a longer grip so I can wear padded gloves or gauntlets. Now, I found out that the original design is much better. Why? Because it's virtually impossible to expose your hand. Look, if I strike at you, how would I expose my hand? And if I would expose my hand, a gauntlet wouldn't help me. You just simply cut off my arm. So that's the reason why Iron Age and Viking swords didn't need long cross guards. They didn't need long grips. They could do with antler fittings because there is hardly any blade contact. It's a completely different system. This is about the shields. The shield is the weapon, and at the same time, the blade cuts